Hello and welcome to the Awaken Feminine podcast. I'm your host, Kaki Lee, a mindset coach and healer who's on a mission to share the love and wisdom of inspiring women from around the world who have gone through adversity and turned their pain into purpose. Today, I'm excited to be interviewing transformational wellness coach and founder of Heal Thyself, Heal Thy World, Suzanne Mahadeo, who I know has so much love and wisdom to share with us today. Do I have you there, Suzanne?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm right here.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on the Awaken Feminine podcast. Before we get started, can you just share with us a little bit more about you, what you do, and where you're joining me from?
Sure. Thank you, Kaki, for having me, and thank you everyone for watching. It's great to be with you all. So I'm from Queens, New York. I'm here right now. My daughter's asleep over here, so try not to be too loud. A little about my journey. I was born and raised right in this home, well, in the hospital, close to the home, but grew up in Queens, went to Texas for 5 years, went from there across the world for 7 years, and then came back, and now here's where I am. So the story continues.
Lovely. So let's dive into your journey, Suzanne. So can you share with us what you were doing before you were a wellness coach and then the journey to get to where you are now?
Sure, yeah. So I was actually working for the U.S. federal government. So that is a big kind of stretch. Yes, big difference, big transformation, if you will, from kind of going into the government office and seeing a huge picture of our current president staring me in the face every morning. So I realized that I needed my own transformation, and so I started getting callings, if you will, to go down the path of becoming a certified life coach, and that is what I did. That is what I'm doing.
Awesome. So did you have like a spiritual awakening or aha moment that really led you down that path? Can you unpack that a little bit for us?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that spiritual awakening moment happened before the government. It's been a long journey, I would say. My first kind of experience with forces that are greater than myself was when I was 17. It was kind of the first moment that I could pinpoint of having a moment where I was about to actually step off a ledge in the middle of West Virginia. I was on a mountain, but I didn't know that because it was pitch dark. It was 4th of July, and I was just, I was out and about taking what I thought was a walk with my brother and some friends. And before I took that walk that would have led me off that cliff, something stopped me and kind of pushed me back. Wow. It was something that was very visceral, and I felt it so, in such a degree that it's one of those things where like no one can tell you, even though you can't prove it, no one can tell you that didn't happen because it literally saved my life.
Yeah.
So the next morning when I woke up and I realized that if I would have continued going, I would have tumbled off a cliff. It just made me realize like, wow, there's actually forces around me that are protecting me. Yeah. And so that was the first, you could call it spiritual awakening moment. I've had many since then, but that was the first one that I can actually share about how there are protective forces all around us, guiding us and keeping us safe. And
I've got full goosebumps when you said that. That's amazing. So then going through, obviously you said you've been overseas and now you come back to Queens and you were working for the government. So what was the catalyst that really made you decide to transition to becoming a transformation wellness coach?
Right. So between, the story that I just shared and now, which is a 20-year gap, I've had a series of events that have honestly tried to kill me many times, I would say. It's kind of probably longer than an hour conversation, but there have been many moments where my life kind of exploded between having a house fire, between having a divorce, between almost dying during childbirth, where it just constantly kept happening. Like, can I really die? Like, is this going to happen? Because many things have tried to kill me, and it's not happening. Yeah. So when I start getting this guidance as to, okay, I need whatever the forces are that are around us that are guiding us along our path, when I start hearing these messages that I need to be serving more, I need to step up, I need to come out from behind the spiritual closet, and really kind of step into what I need to be doing in this world, even if it seems very odd or bizarre or different than a nice settled government job. I just need to do that. Whatever the outcome, whatever is going to happen, you know,
Yeah.
the more I continue to listen to the guidance, the easier things tend to be. So
Yeah.
I heard, okay, you need to kind of go down this path. And so I got the certification. And as I did, things just started opening up. Like I'm interviewing here with you on this beautiful podcast. I've been meeting a wonderful, beautiful souls who are also on their mission. So it was really just this switch of, you know, I listened that I needed to do this. And as I did it and as I'm doing it, things are just opening up. They're becoming more fluid. They're becoming easier. And it's just this vibrational kind of flow, if you will, of things just working out.
Yeah. I love
And
that.
one step at a time, little step, things just seem okay. And then they seem better. And then they're like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. And very similar with myself as well. Once I answered the call, I was a pharmacist and now I've moved
okay.
into coaching space, and it's all the things start kind of matching up, like the dots are joining, and then you meet a lot of beautiful people that I think when you start going your journey, I don't know about you, whether your friends, you're saying that people start going, oh, she's changed, or she's a bit
Right.
different now, and you feel quite disconnected from the people that you grew up with or have known for a long time. But when you answer the call and you take those, you know, step by step, you meet all these new people that you're like, wow, these people understand, right? And it's
Yeah.
really beautiful, like, you know, meeting all the beautiful people that I've been interviewing. It's just like, wow, there's all these beautiful women that understand me, that I resonate with so much, and it feels like I've built this new, you know, family. It's
Right.
beautiful. Yeah.
Definitely. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. So I
No,
want
I
to
was just
ask.
I can certainly agree with that because, you know, when we are kind of going through these awakening processes, whether it's you know, near death experiences, your life explodes, you're abandoned, or there's just so many things that can go wrong in our lives. And when we do go through those experiences, it's really it can get very lonely.
Yeah.
So to be able to have the, I don't know, faith, you would say, that there are beautiful souls out there, it takes a huge leap of faith. But once we take that faith, it's always met with some kind of reward. Like we will meet beautiful people because they're out there, they're everywhere.
Yeah, I love that. I want to ask you because you said you at 17 was the first time you felt those external forces,
Yeah.
knowing that they're there to protect you and guide you. But do you remember like what age it was before you actually decided, oh, I need to listen to these voices, or when you actually realized that you were being guided?
Yes. So after a first very heavy breakup with a partner who I had a home with in Austin, Texas, I went and I started kind of trying to find myself again. And I drove to a beautiful place about 40 minutes outside of Austin called Barsana Dham. And it's one of the largest Hindu temple complexes in the US. And I just sat there and it really looked like a place that was in India. There was like a beautiful lake and or pond there. And I just sat and meditated, and there was something inside of me that was just, I don't know, it felt so calm and so calm, but it also shook me to my core, and I didn't know what the voice was, and I can't even tell you exactly what it had said to me. It was just this feeling of calm, just that no matter what happened, I was going to be okay. And so that was around 24, I'd say. So, and from there I was just like, whoa, I'm not alone. I'm
Yeah,
not alone.
it's awesome. And as you've grown in your journey, how are you finding, does the guidance come clearer, or you know, how what is it like now with
Yeah.
connecting with your guides?
Oh, yeah. I love that question. I feel the kinder I am to myself, the more calm and soothing that voice is. And so it's been a very long process for me to separate, well, what is my voice? What is a voice of guidance? What is a voice of criticism? And trying to, like, you know, unpack all of these things because they have been baked. They've been baked all together. And for the longest time, I couldn't separate any of it. And so the first voice, you know, that we can tend to hear is the first voice that went into our head. And so the first voice that went into our head, you know, that we can tend to hear is the first voice that went into our head. And so the first voice, you know, that we can tend to hear is the first voice that went into our head. And so the first voice, you know, that we can tend to hear is the first voice that went into our head. And if we were lucky and we had very loving, calm, guiding parental units around us, those voices would be, you're such a good kid, you're such a good person, I love you. But if the opposite is true, because not everybody hears those kinds of things, it can be very much, what's wrong with you? Are you stupid? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? So for the longest time, that's been running through my head. And that can be very, very damaging to the heart, to the psyche. We just kind of walk through life thinking, what's wrong with me? And then attract a whole bunch of things that become wrong with us, and situations and house fires, divorce, you're almost dying every day. So it really, it's been an interesting process to kind of crumble down that cake, if you will,
Yeah.
and just kind of get to the more beautiful pieces between the cake of just, consciousness that's there for all of us, the truth that is there for all of us to take in.
Yeah.
And, so the voice becomes a lot more clean and clear, and sometimes it's words, but other times it's just feelings.
Yeah.
And I know that's doesn't make a lot of sense, if this path may be new to people, but at the end of the day, I do feel that we all know what's right for us. It's a gut feeling, it's a feeling in your heart. We all know what's right and what's true for us. We all have that connection.
Yeah.
And I just think of the other voices in our head are just kind of like layers over it. And so the more I kind of clear out those layers, the clouds, the dust, the crumbs, all this self-disrespect, the voice is just love. And it's things that guide us to peace and joy and harmony and connectedness with each other. And
yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I just thought it'll be really nice for people who are starting their journey to know how it kind of progresses. I guess for me, it's very new. It's only been really this year that I've really been getting all of my guidance and getting all the feels and things like that. So I know you're more experienced, so it was really good to hear that from you. And really it is the unpacking of the different voices, because you do find people say ego, or as the critical voice, right? And it's just really knowing when it's your ego telling you that you're stupid, why are you doing this? And compared to that really the inner voice, that is the loving voice that's saying you're right where you're meant to be. You're just you're perfect where you are. And giving you that love and kindness, which you would do for a friend, right? You wouldn't say, why are you doing this? You're stupid, right? But we do that to ourselves. So thank you for sharing that. So I want to ask you, having gone through everything that you have, what is your personal mission? What are you here on this earth to do?
Yeah, beautiful question. So right now, and our dreams tend to expand, and once we hit a dream, we can dream bigger, right? My dream right now is to help at least 10,000 people heal themselves and heal the world around them. So I'm very focused on that right now, because I feel, especially during this time, there can be this split where people can go down a pathway of fear, or they can go down a path of, preventative health care and preventative wellness. And perhaps this is a beautiful time to do it, because before people may not have cared about their health so much, but now it's on the global scale that it's on everybody's minds. We don't want to get sick. But what's really important is to think about what we do want, because, the mind it's a seeking tool. So whatever we put out there as our focus, the mind is going to get it. So if we're thinking, I don't want this, we're still going to keep focusing on that, right?
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing is that we can actually focus on being healthy, being healed, healing ourselves, which is not something that I would have felt super comfortable approaching in the past, because it's almost as if I'm saying there's something wrong with us that we need to heal. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we can kind of look around our world and see that even the world needs healing,
Yeah.
Our oceans, we need to take better care of it. Our land, we need to take better care of. The animals. Um, so if the external world is a manifestation of what's inside of us, and we need to heal the world, well, we also need to kind of heal ourselves, even
Yeah.
from the critical voices. And there's just a lot of beautiful work that we can do. So I'm looking forward to continuing that journey of healing myself, healing others, and healing the world.
Yeah, I love your mission, and yeah, so excited to see how it all unfolds for you. And really, I totally agree that the external is a reflection of the internal world, and what we're seeing right now is like a collective, mirror of what's happening internally for everyone, right? That fear, that um yeah, the brokenness inside of us, and that's reflected on the outside world. So yeah, definitely. And I know you said you don't want to say heal the world or heal yourself. Something one of my mentors say, bring back to the natural state. So there's
Mm,
nothing to heal. So that's I guess another way to put it.
yeah, I love
Yeah,
that. Thank
you
you.
don't want to say heal because you don't want to make it sound like you've got something to heal. But yeah. So I want to get a bit more deep and personal with you, Suzanne. Um, so I know you've gone through a lot. you you've mentioned bits and pieces, but what is that particular experience you've been through that you found that was the most challenging, but really led to the biggest breakthrough that you've had?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. I would have to say from a deep emotional level and also a social level, going through an unexpected divorce, which left me as a single mother, which under no circumstance was I ever expecting that, has been the biggest, you know, curse as a blessing kind of situation.
Yeah,
And I say that because I've come across even life coaches or people who are in a space of helping others where they would openly admit they were afraid of being a single mother, when here I am being a single mother. And so there's a very strong fear of this, how can I make it on my own? How can I do this? What will people think? My culture is a very what will people think kind of culture. And since I've mentioned that I've come back to Queens, I've been faced with that, you know, in the external world, of the judgment that I had on myself of what will people think. Well, at the end of the day, it's I think, or I thought that people would judge me, and so they ended up judging me. But through that, I had to learn about how to turn that judgment into a state of understanding, so that I wasn't hurt by the judgment. I learned to understand it and step up as somebody who could proudly and confidently and happily say that I'm proud of my story, and able to turn it around to a point of resilience and strength, and knowing that without this experience I would not have had the motivation to continue,
yeah,
to kind of go along this path. If it was just me and I was just in a breakup or something, maybe I would have continued along, putzing along. I was putzing along before I had my kids, kind of just, I was teaching and going different places, but I felt this deep kind of like, what am I doing this for? I had the most amount of like money in the bank at that point, and I was really good. I could have kept traveling for years, but it was just this listlessness and this wandering. It was a constant wandering with no end point.
yeah,
And then once I had my kids, it was just laser focused. I'm going to do this for them. And I became a single mother when my baby was 2 months old and my older daughter was only 2 years old. So they're both in diapers. And, even as a parent with a partner, that's a difficult kind of time.
yeah,
But without a partner, it was, sometimes I look back and I'm like, I definitely was not alone.
yeah,
There were forces that were certainly helping me, because there's no way I would have gotten through that by myself.
yeah,
So just, I learned so much about how resilient we can be, even in situations where you wouldn't want that on your quote unquote worst enemy, or, and I just learned a lot of compassion as well, because when you go through, becoming a mom makes you compassionate, because you're just focused on what these little tiny spawns need from you.
yeah,
So just, your ego is kind of drained because you don't have time for it. I don't have time for focusing on what I need and wanted. And at first I was resentful about that because everything was kind of taken from me in a way. But then again, I learned that what I gained in the process was so much bigger than anything I personally could have, enjoyed for myself. There's just so many blessings in so many ways. And how I think of it is like, sometimes life can constrict us, but at the end of the day, like, trees and plants can still grow out of cracks, and they can still grow out of, the deepest, darkest places. Those seeds, when they're held and they're just in the dark places, they can still grow. It's not fun, but there's growth that's happening every single day. So that transformation has been, I'm very grateful for it. I never would have thought I would have said that, but the darkest days can bring us the most light.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. That's such a beautiful story of strength and resilience. And yes, definitely, like, when you're in the situation, obviously it's not a good situation and it'd be very challenging, but looking back, it was what's made you the person that you are today, right? So yeah, so much gratitude for things that have happened. And as you build that muscle as well, when you do go through tough situations, is then going, all right, what can I find that I can be grateful for in this moment, even though I'm in like the shittiest situation ever, right? Finding that gratitude so that you can keep moving and not fall into that trap of being in that, pity party for too long, right?
Right.
You can have your pity party, definitely, if you're in that situation, but being able to try and bring yourself out sooner rather than later, obviously, right? Yeah. Wow, Suzanne, amazing story. So can you share with us like what tools or teachers that were really helpful in your healing process?
Yeah, sure. So right now I am walking people through, it's an alchemy process where we basically are taking all of the darker, heavier, denser emotions that are within us and learning different ways, different practices, very practical ways to change things like fear into a state of love, to change things like hate into a state of gratitude. And there are, when I was going through this process, what I was doing every day was kind of like writing little sticky notes to myself and putting them all over the walls to ask the universe to bring me out of these feelings. So I would write down, things like blame, and then I would put an arrow next to it and write forgiveness. And sure enough, somebody would, or not somebody, but the universe would send me an experience where I had an opportunity to blame someone for something or to forgive them. And one of the nice things about being single for so long, because I've been single since the divorce and it happened 4 years ago, is, now it's just me, right? So if I see a sock on the floor, I can't just turn around and blame somebody because that's my sock. Whereas in the past, it would have been like, why are you doing this? So, it's kind of funny to be able to realize that a lot of the problems that I have caused have been my own making, and to kind of break those habits and to just be okay with that, because in the past I would have been very critical of myself to even realize that. But it's a process as well of just being graceful with our own selves, being able to accept that we are human and we're supposed to make mistakes, and the way that we handle those mistakes is what really will kind of take us further along our path or keep us stuck in a state of like sadness. So it's a process, and I enjoy even going through the process today with myself. But yeah, it was just, I had so many sticky notes everywhere because there's so many heavy emotions. And when we think of things like sacrifice, we usually think of sacrifice as taking something that I really, really want and not doing it so I can do something else. But sacrifice in a more spiritual sense is sacrificing something that doesn't serve us for something that will serve us. So turning things like malice or vengeance, which is, all of the great spiritual leaders talk about how an eye for an eye makes the world go blind. So, or, make sure you turn the other cheek, things like that. But how does that work in our practical life? Well, if we are very much in a state of fight or flight, or our bodies have these hormones running through it where we're ready to be defensive or fight or kick off, it's very easy if somebody attacks us to just attack back. But if we're able to kind of take a second, take a breath, we had a beautiful take a deep breath before we started this interview. That's beautiful. Just to get us in a frame of mind where we're in our parasympathetic, our nervous system is settled. It's easier if somebody does hurt us to just be like, okay, I can come from a place of compassion. I can understand I don't need to hurt this person back. Sometimes that's the greatest love we can do. And, just being able to nurture that every single day instead of fighting back has been helpful as well. So there's a lot, there's so much to it. And I really enjoy walking people through the process because it is a process. It's definitely a process.
Yeah, love that. Such great advice to really change it's changing your perception and your frame of thought, isn't it? From, as you're saying, from blame to forgiveness, and then fear to love. It is just having that switch to know, to be able to change it, and giving that compassion and that, I guess, curiosity to why other people are thinking the way they do, so that you can go, all right, they might have this and that going on, so that it actually really just calms you down when you just go, oh, that person must have maybe had a bad day and that's why they've reacted. So then you just don't join that party that they're having on their side of the world, right? You just go, cool, just letting it go and just move on. It's just a better way to do it, isn't it? People always want to be the person that's right, so that's why they fight back. But what does that actually do, right?
Yeah, it can really drain us of energy. That's one thing that I'm still learning, that when I'm on the defense, my energy levels are just drained.
Yeah.
And sometimes people who are very argumentative or very, in a state of wanting to be right, they try to drain you through that. And that's not something that, since I don't do that to others, it's hard for me to imagine others doing that to me. But it's something that is it's like a war tactic in a way. Yeah. And so recognizing that as well, that I don't have to join a war. If I want to be at peace, I can't be in others' wars. They can go fight somewhere else, but it doesn't benefit me or my energy levels to engage in that.
Yeah.
So, but the interesting thing about that is that, we are kind of at a war with ourselves, because when we are considered right or in our own minds, we get a boost of like dopamine from that. So we are hardwired to want to be right. Yeah. So now we're in two different states where, like, if I'm right, I feel good. But if I walk away, I feel good. So we have to just figure out from a higher perspective what's actually best for me and what will serve me in the long run, because either of those make us feel good. So it's just very interesting. I love thinking about all of it. So.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm a recovering I am right person. Like, with my husband, he's like, I'm always right. But you're not always right? But I've learned now, even like folding clothes, there's his way and there's my way, and I'm okay with that now. It doesn't have to be my way. Yeah. Just simple things like that, even, right? It can drain your energy because you're like, why are you folding clothes like that? And you just want to refold everything. But and it's reminded to everyone, it's not just the big things, it's also the little things that can drain your energy. Yeah. So Suzanne, I love reading, so I'm not sure if you're an avid reader yourself, but are there any books that really changed your life?
So when I was reading The Alchemist, that was one thing that was just, there are certain writers who really get to the core of your heart. Like when Rumi writes, everything I read from him, I'm like, did I write this myself in a past life? It just connects with you so deeply. So I love like authors who are able to just connect with your heart. I love Rumi, Khalil Gibran, all these folks who are just able to pinpoint an emotion that's so, when we think about like the heart chakra and how it's a feeling tone, it's not something, we can't really communicate the heart chakra with our words. It's something we feel when we connect with people and the energy in the universe. It's not something that's easily able to put into words, but once you can do that, it's so simple. So I love authors that are able to do that.
Yeah, wow. I haven't actually read anything from Rumi, but I've seen lots of quotes everywhere. But The Alchemist was probably one of the first books that I read when I started my journey. So, and I really, really enjoyed it. Such a beautiful story, and with so much teachings in it. So yeah, definitely highly recommended. So Suzanne, having gone through everything that you've gone through, what do you believe is the greatest lesson, the biggest lesson that you've learned so far in your life?
That's a great question. So I'm still learning this one, and it's, I think, one of the most important lessons I need to learn, and I hope everyone can learn as well, is the concept that once we deeply respect ourselves, once we find that center of deep, deep, deep respect for ourselves, we won't need it from the outside world. It will just kind of come to us. And whether it comes to us or not, we still have that within ourselves. And so I'm processing right now how to pinpoint exactly what is the opposite of that. Because a lot of the healing work is, if I want this and it's missing for me, what have I been doing this whole time? That's the opposite of it.
Yeah.
And so I can kind of think back into negative experiences that I've attracted to myself as seeking for external validation, seeking for others' approval, and seeking for them to tell me you're okay, everything's fine, you're worthy, blah, blah, blah. And so reeling that back and realizing, well, no, I don't need that from them. Because what ended up happening for me personally was, in seeking so much for that external validation, I was willing to accept whatever else they were going to give me, which ended up being a lot of toxic treatment, a lot of disrespect, ironically enough, because in one hand, they offer what seems like a perfect mirage of beauty and, the whole, it seems as though life will be perfect and that you'll get all the respect. But what comes with it behind the scenes when the curtains are pulled back is not that at all.
Yeah.
Whereas when we're able to just have a deep level of respect for ourselves, to know what we want, when we want it, how we want it for ourselves, and kind of keep our standards to a degree that would make us happy, I feel that's one of the greatest lessons that anyone can learn, because it comes from our own internal standpoint of what will make us happy in this life, what would we love to do. So I'm still on that journey. I'm not about to say that I've got that figured out, but I feel as though, because I'm seeking that now, not external validation, but internal validation, that will be something that I will enjoy finding.
Yeah, that's a beautiful lesson to learn, and I'm on that, learning that as well. But I think our society, we're just conditioned to seek that external validation. Look at social media, for example. How many likes do we get? Who's looked at our profile? All those kind of things. It is all external validation. Oh, no one liked my post. It's that, right? But it doesn't matter. It's what you put out and what you feel is right for you, and it's such a great lesson to learn. And yeah, definitely for me, that's something that I'm working on myself. So yeah, thank you for that. And just flowing on from that question, if you could time travel and go back to a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give yourself, Suzanne?
That you are worthy, that you have always been worthy, you will always be worthy, and there's nothing wrong with you, and you're loved beyond measure, and that we all are. We all are. That advice holds for every single one of us.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Such beautiful advice. And yeah, for everyone. Yeah, for your younger self, for everyone, for anyone that's listening to it in the future, whatever. Yeah, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So we touched on this before, Suzanne, about, uh, right now people needing to kind of look for that wellness component, physically, mentally, spiritually as well. So the world has gone through a lot of change this year, and people are changing with it. So and also a lot of people are awakening as well. So what advice or recommendation would you have for anyone to get rid of any limiting beliefs or fear that is holding them back from really taking that step to creating that life that they really want?
Yeah, great question. I think it's very, very important to figure out where we want to go, figure out exactly what it is that we love, and focus all of our attention and love on that. Because again, the brain is such a beautiful, wonderful honing device. It's going to find what we pay attention to. And we were talking earlier about, being right. Everybody's right all the time. Whatever we think is right. If we think you know, I'm a terrible person, we will continue to do terrible things, and that's our life. We're right about that. And if we want to think, no, I'm a helpful person, I'm going to serve humanity, then my brain is going to seek for ways to do that. If I think I'm sick, there's something wrong with me, that is right. And if we think I am healing, I am, what did you say before? I'm finding my natural state.
Yeah.
That is right. So it's the important thing then is, if we're always right, to actually be right about what we want, be
Yes.
right about what we love. And
Yes.
so I take people through a beautiful exercise where we get deep into our energetic blueprints of our dream and our vision. And when people go through this process, they feel goosebumps about, wow, even though I'm in this state right now, there's a dream I have inside of me that is so strong, and I feel it in my heart, and it's making my heart feel bigger, and I feel more expansive. And once people feel that, it makes us realize how much more we can live into our life. And then no matter what external circumstance or situation we're in, if that dream exists within me, then there are ways to be able to access and get myself toward that dream. And then now that we have that beautiful vision, the darkness disappears, the confusion disappears, the limiting beliefs disappears, because if I am to become the woman or man in my dream, then what steps do I need to take to get there?
Yeah.
And now our mind is seeking to get there instead
Yeah.
of being, in a situation that was limiting us.
Yeah.
So that's something that I love for people to just focus on. What would you love? What would you love?
Great advice, and so true. And I think you touched on it before, where before you were kind of traveling and just not really, you didn't really have a mission or a purpose. But once you find that laser focused vision for yourself, it's just focusing to get there, and it doesn't matter what the journey, the journey is as important, it's more important than the destination, right? And yeah, really enjoying the journey, but knowing where you want to go, rather than drifting through life with
Yes.
no purpose, no vision, no
Yeah.
no dream, right? Yeah. So that's beautiful advice. Thank you for that. So I want to take a little bit of a turn now. I'm all about self-love, because that was one of my biggest lessons on my journey. So as a busy mom and an entrepreneur, what are your top 3 go-to activities to make sure you really give yourself that self-love?
Yeah. I love this question because it forces me to actually think about that. So one of the things that I did when, we talked about how people can drain us of our energy, there was a time where I felt I needed to respond to every draining message, everything that was coming at me. I felt I needed to respond. And it was so difficult for me to break that pattern. I was so afraid that if I broke the pattern, something terrible was going to happen to me. But one day I just decided I'm going to just sit in the bathtub and put some bath salts in here, light a candle, play some soothing, relaxing music, and just do this. I loved it so much. I just started doing it like every day. And now it's a habit. Now I just do that every day. And it feels so good to me because I realized taking such a small, simple step changed the trajectory of my reactions. Now when people send me a message that's draining, I don't have to respond. I can go take care of myself. And I love water. I love being near water. I love being around water. So I also go to the beach with my kids and just kind of sit by the ocean, or just, walk along the beach, all romantic with myself. And it's just, I'm a Pisces. I'm not sure if you're into astrology, but just water is something that's so calming and soothing to me. So those 2 things, and then also nourishing my body with healthy foods and foods that I love. Right.
Yeah.
So, and that was a switch for me because I'm in New York, so our pizza is the best in the world, and I love pizza, but it's not the healthiest thing for me. So I have gotten to a point where, like, because I train myself to love healthy food, now I can love healthy food as much as I love pizza. And it's crazy how your mind can just, it can just repair itself when we start to have thoughts like that. So yeah, water, and good food.
Awesome. Yeah. And your mind is such a powerful tool, right? Whatever you focus on, you really can make that a reality. So yeah, definitely. So I just love I just loved our conversation that we've had today, and you're just amazing. And I'm really excited about your mission. So, before we do wrap up, can you share with us what is setting your soul on fire at the moment?
So I do feel as though my heart is just expanding more and more as I'm able to connect with beautiful people like yourself. It has been a journey to get to that point because, again, when I had limiting beliefs about myself, I didn't feel as though I would deserve to meet people like you or be able to share my story. And so coming from that state of very loneliness or only having people in my life who would hurt and abuse and take from me and take advantage to this point where I'm so happy to share with others who are on a similar mission. They're on fire as well. Their fire is lighting me on fire. I'm lighting them on fire. And it's just this beautiful, engaging experience of there's so much to life, right? There's so much to life. We're all still really young. If we're alive, we're still really young. There's so much to live for. And that just excites me to know that I don't know everything and that I can learn more and more every day. I can feel more and more every day. Every day I'm becoming better and better, and so is everyone around me. And just being able to nurture myself in that way is wonderful. And I'm also really excited about where I'm going to continue to go with this journey because I feel as though the current way Western medicine kind of looks at health and healing, there's a lot to be discovered. There's so much to be discovered. I was just reading yesterday that science hasn't fully discovered yet how the human voice really connects with who we are. And so I'm excited to like figure out how is the way that we speak and communicate really central to like our well-being, our heart's well-being. And then the other thing I'm excited about is, we talk about neuroplasticity. We can train our mind, we can grow our mind, but I'm also really excited about what is cardioplasticity. Can I condition or recondition my heart to be ever expansive? Can we do that together? So I'm just excited about all the things that everybody collectively will share together with our unique gifts and talents to make this world a beautiful place.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. I love that. Yeah. So much that to learn in the world, and as we go on our journey, it's forever like continuous learning, and I love learning. So yeah, it's just beautiful. So Suzanne, thank you so much for sharing your love and wisdom with us today. If people want to find out more about you and how they can work with you, where should they go?
So, and it's been wonderful as well. So, thank you for this. If people want to find Heal Thyself, Heal Thy World, I definitely would invite you all to come join our tribe, which is on Facebook. It's a private healing space where every day I will give you some beautiful way to think about yourself or the world around you so that you can connect deeper with the infinite intelligence that is already in you. And so that's a Facebook group. It's Heal Thyself, Heal Thy World Private. And I'm sure you'll post the link. And my name is Suzanne Mahadeo. So you can find me on Facebook as well. And we can go through a strategy call where I can help you blueprint the vision that you have for your life.
Awesome. I'll have all your details and any recommended resources available in the show notes so people can reach out to you. Thank you so much again.
All right. Bless you all. Thank you.
Yeah. And until next time, I love you, I believe in you, and you are worth taking that first step to the life of your dreams.